We're talking Ball State, Don Shondell and Ray McCallum talking Ball State, Nate Davis and Bonzi Wells, Schumann, Bell Tower and Worthen, Fans Oliver from Muncie to Berlin, getting Concannons, Carters and Greeks. All right. Hello, everyone out there in Cardinal land. Welcome to another live edition of Ball State of the Union, your number one Ball State football podcast. By the fans, for the fans. We're talking current headlines, exclusive interviews with Cardinal athletes and coaches, and fun off-the-wall debates that you are not going to hear anywhere else. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe on all of your favorite social media platforms. And as always, remember, when you hear that song, you know we're about to be doing one thing, and we're about to be talking Ball State. I'm John, your host, as always, joined tonight by Colin from Ball State Football Talk on Twitter. And Colin, another episode, another week's here. We're putting that whatever it was last week against Western Michigan in the rearview mirror, and we're focused on Akron. We're focused on going 1-0 this week. We have a special guest coming on here in just a second to give us an inside look at the Akron Zips. But before we do that, if you can hear my voice right now and you're watching the show on Twitter, on Facebook, or on YouTube, first of all, thank you. We appreciate you being here. And second of all, put your questions and comments in those chats, wherever that may be, and we will read them all at the end of the show. So before we get into our special guest column, we got two things to get to as always. The first, if you've been watching the show for any amount of time, you know what it's going to be. It's our friends over at The Shop Indy. That's www.theshopindy.com. Use that code BSUnion at checkout, and you'll get free shipping on your order. Again, we got lots of Ball State stuff. We got a whole handful of games left throughout the season. Basketball season's right around the corner. Stay tuned for that at the end of the show, by the way. So use that code BSUnion and get free shipping on any Ball State items they have. Now they have Colts, Pacers, Indiana Fever, unfortunately, the number 3 ranked Indiana Hoosiers, Purdue, all kinds of stuff. Use that code BSUnion. It'll get you that free shipping on any of those items. And Ball State of the Union is also a member of the College Huddle. The College Huddle is an independent group of fan-made podcasts for college sports across the country. And so Ball State of the Union is a proud member of it. We have some people on sometimes who are other College Huddle members. So if for some reason you're interested in the College Huddle, be sure to check out their website. Be sure to check out their social media. You'll see Ball State on there, and you'll see all kinds of other teams. So that's the College Huddle. Be sure to give them a look. So for that out of the way, Colin, we got a special guest here with us today. From the Akron Zips Twitterverse, however you'd like to think about that, none other than the Akron Zipped Up account. Mr. Zipped Up, thank you so much for being here with us tonight.
John, thanks for having me on the show. Colin, thank you as well.
Yes. So before we dive into this weekend's game between Ball State and Akron, I wanted to get know you a little bit more here. So Akron Zipped Up, tell us a little bit about how your newsletter, your Twitter account, how that all kind of started, and maybe what drove you into wanting to really get information out there for the Akron Zips to all the Akron Zip fans.
Sure. So I've been an Akron fan a long time, and I always, thought about maybe starting a Twitter account just to join the Twitterverse. Every school's got their own little group of personalities. It can be a lot of fun. So initially decided to do that little bit, I think 1 week into last football season, I finally pulled the trigger. And then I was like, what the heck? I'll throw a little newsletter on there too, little blog. So I'm on Substack, Akron Zipped Up. Really just wanted to spread the word about Akron, keep people informed. We don't have a consistent beat writer with the Beacon Journal, the Akron Beacon Journal, or anywhere in Cleveland, any students that are like consistent with it. So I figured just something to, preview games, recap games, maybe a little bit of discussion, and it's gone really well so far. Really picked up steam about midway through last football season, and then into basketball season. Of course, we're a lot better at basketball than football. So, when people are happy, that kind of drives engagement a little bit. And here we are in our second season, and it's going really well.
Yeah, and so you came highly recommended from the people within the Akron world that we kind of talk to, and our friends over the Mac Sports Connection podcast. So we're glad we were able to make it work and get you on here. We're going to jump into the game here in just a second, but I want to give the Ball State fans out there kind of just a quick overview of Akron's season so far, just kind of if you're looking at what's happened for them so far. So currently Akron sits at 2-5, 1-2 in the MAC. The 2 wins over Duquesne and Central Michigan. The all-time series between Ball State and Akron surprisingly tied 12-12-1. So not playing them as many times as some of the other teams in the MAC. And the last meeting came back in November of 2021 with a Ball State win 35-25 over Akron. So, Mr. Zipped Up, that's kind of my outside looking in overview of Akron's season so far. What's kind of maybe the more in-depth view for Akron so far this year? Where have they maybe taken steps forward this year? Where have they maybe taken steps back? A surprise for the season so far? If I was to say, what is the number one storyline for you with Akron football in 2025, what would that be?
I would say consistently okay across the board. Like nothing's been overly terrible. Nothing's been incredibly great. And I think it's a work in progress, which, should that be the case in a head coach's 4th year? Well, that goes into the whole NIL transfer portal program not having much money in that area. So it's like every year is kind of like a reset. Like last year, we lost, I think, 5 or 6 starters on defense to portal, and they're starting at Power Fives. Same deal with a few positions on offense. So it was a bit slow getting into this year, but I think you're starting to see them grow into their roles a little bit. You got a returning quarterback in Ben Finley. Last year, he was the first Akron quarterback to start every single game in the regular season since I want to say 2013 or something like that, which is pretty insane. He kind of is what he is. I think he's a great guy. He's a great teammate and good for the program. He's a really fun personality. I wish Akron would market him a little bit more like that because it's fun to listen to him talk. A bit of a gunslinger, not great at reading defenses, pretty good arm. He's probably the best we could do right now. And I don't say that, to diminish what he does. I think he's a perfect fit for Akron right now. Run game is coming along as well. That's been a struggle at Akron for the better part of 2 decades now. Our last 1,000-yard rusher in a season was 2008, a guy named Dennis Kennedy. I think that was his senior year in 2008. But I got a couple running backs there: Sean Patrick, Jordan Gant coming from Tennessee State. He had a 10-touchdown season in 2023 with Eddie George down there. He's come on. He started as the number 2 back, but with Sean Patrick being a little bit banged up, he's moved into the starting role, and he's got, I think, 511 yards already this year. So pretty cool to see him doing that. Receivers starting to come along a little bit. A lot of drops, a lot of new faces. Overall on offense, though, I think kind of starting to get some consistency. Again, not incredible throwing the ball, incredible running the ball, but pretty good at both. Defensively, it's a lot of bend, but don't break. Like, they don't force a ton of turnovers. They don't give up a ton of big explosive plays like over the top or huge rushes, but they're pretty stout in the red zone. Like, I believe they're number 2 in the MAC in the red zone. Like, they give up scores on just like 72% of opponent drives in the red zone. But at the same time, they give up a lot of yards. Like Central, granted they're Central Michigan's run first team. They had something like, I want to say 250, 260 rushing yards. Miami as well. Slipped out of a lot of tackles last week. So it presents an interesting matchup here against Ball State. But yeah, I wouldn't say there's anything that really defines the team on either side of the ball. They're just pretty consistent across the board, and I think slowly improving as the year goes on.
Okay. So we're talking about consistency, the things that they're getting more consistent on. What's maybe the area that they haven't got to that consistency yet? Maybe something that they're struggling with, something that they're maybe not as consistent about, and that they're still working for. So maybe on the lower end of that consistency that you're talking about.
I think the wide receivers room is and it just took a beating last year with the portal, so it's a lot of new guys, and I hate to make excuses like that, but they've you can tell that it's a new group and they haven't had the most chemistry with Ben Finley, but they're starting to come along a little bit. Still dropping way too many passes. I think they were credited with 5 or 6 drops against Miami, and they had, I think, 9 or 10 against Nebraska earlier in the year. So that group still a lot of room for improvement. And Finley, like I said, he's not the best at reading coverages, but if a guy's open, he's usually going to hit him. And those guys have to do a better job of supporting him and supporting the offense, help get it into a rhythm. Because all too often, like, we'll get a big stop on defense, a lot of good stops on defense, and we'll just reward them with a 3 and out. Like I know Ball State did last week at Western Michigan, same deal. Like defense makes a few stops. I mean, they're right back out on the field 3 plays later.
Yeah, so Ball State had some crazy stat last week where it was like 25-5 first downs in Western Michigan's favor. So the defense was on the field nonstop, pretty much. Want to talk about maybe who's like a breakout player or a surprise contributor for Akron this year that maybe you guys were talking a little bit about before the season started, but has really kind of shined in a way that maybe you weren't expecting through the first 7 games of the year.
Yeah, I think I mentioned Jordan Gant. I mean, he was part of, I think, staff bringing, I think, 3 running backs in the portal this year. And they don't return either of their top 2 rushers last year. And he's really stepped into the role as a starting running back. I think the last 2 games, Sean Patrick, the guy I mentioned previously, he was here last year. He redshirted. He didn't play at all. I think he was banged up. He's not quite as big as Gant, so he can't take as many hits. And he was playing really well against Wyoming in the season opener until I think he had a shoulder injury or something like that. And then Gant got most of the carries for there over the next 3 weeks, and he broke out for, I think, 160 against Duquesne, which I know it's Duquesne, but that's a pretty solid NEC program. And then against Central, he had, I think, 204 all-purpose yards on 14 touches. He's been awesome. He, as coach says, he runs behind his pads. I'm not entirely sure what that means, but he's a very strong runner. He falls forward, which I always say, like, if you're running back, that's like the bare minimum. Just fall forward. And he falls forward every time, gets the extra 2-3 yards. Even against Miami, I don't know if he even had 30 or 40 yards this past weekend, but like whenever there were little holes made by the offensive line, he was finding them. So I think he could be poised to have a pretty nice game this Saturday, assuming the offensive line does their jobs.
Mm-hmm. So Colin is going to jump into a little bit more in depth with some other questions here. So I know Colin wanted to pick your brain on a few things as well.
Yeah. So Mr. Zipped Up, I'm just listening here, but nothing sounds super outstanding so far. Like no one position group or one side of the ball sounds like it's really excelling.
Absolutely.
But what are you more confident in, the offense or the defense?
Got to be the defense. I mean, they've been a lot more consistent. I talk about the whole team being pretty consistent across the board. The defense has been, I would say, really good, though. I mean, obviously the Toledo game was a big stinker, but came back against Central Michigan, made them work for every yard they got. Same thing with Miami last week. Miami had 3 points in the first half, and I don't know your guys' opinions, but I think DeQuan Finn is probably the best quarterback in the MAC, or top 2, top 3. That guy, I mean, he's ridiculous. He's been around a long time. He maybe is not as good of a runner as he used to be, considering some of the injuries. But I mean, that dude's really good, and we contained him. Picked him off once in the first half, and his coach said in that particular game, the offense just totally pissed away the game, because on our first drive we sustained it was like a 5.5 minute drive, opening drive, 1st and goal at the 4-yard line, pre-snap penalty, and then on, I think it was 3rd down, a wide receiver, speaking of wide receivers, still needing a lot of work, made the wrong read on a slot route, supposed to go outside. He went inside, and then Finley threw into coverage. And then they really spoiled it for the defense. Granted, the defense hadn't been on the field yet, but they could have played with a lead and maybe pinned their ears back a little bit more against a really good quarterback and had some fun with it. But yeah, I think the defense, their bend but don't break tendencies, their success in the red zone. They forced 3 turnovers in the red zone this year. Pretty impressive stuff.
Okay. Yeah, definitely. And I'm in agreement too. I think my 2 best MAC quarterbacks is probably Parker Navarro and DeQuan Finn. One thing
I
I
agree.
wanted to ask you though, Mr. Zipped Up, is how is the Akron O-line? Because we do have a couple dogs on defense that get after the quarterback, Nathan Boris in particular. Is that a weakness for you guys, or do you feel fairly confident in the O-line?
So I think a lot of it depends on what Ball State throws at them. Like Miami, for example, put like 7 guys in the box, and we couldn't run to save our lives. Now they have struggled at times in pass protection, but a lot of the Akron's been sacked quite a bit. I don't know how many times exactly, but Ben Finley can kind of get a bad habit of getting happy feet in the pocket and trying to roll out, and then he gets in trouble instead of being patient and stepping up. But Miami was kind of all over him on this past Saturday, and I'm really worried about that Voris kid. That's the kind of guy that has given us a lot of trouble over these last couple of years. Just one game breaker that just keeps us behind the sticks, and that's when we were getting a lot of trouble. So offensive line, I think they've come a long way in the 4 years that Moorhead's been at Akron. His offensive line coach, Joe Rodriguez, was with him at Fordham when they had Fordham rolling, and Fordham is a pretty historically lousy football program. He had them top 10, top 15 in the FCS, a lot of running the ball. So coach has done a nice job working with the personnel he has. They've come a long way this year. Still don't think they're great, but they've improved quite a bit. And I'm very curious to see how they match up against this Ball State front.
Okay. Yeah, looking at Ball State from Akron's perspective, other than Nathan Voris, what stands out to you really about this year's Cardinals?
Defensively, I don't from the research I've done, doesn't seem like they've forced a whole lot of havoc besides his pass rush. Like haven't forced a ton of turnovers. It doesn't look like Western Michigan, who is pretty famous this year for not being able to throw the ball or let alone move the ball. Moved with relative ease last week, but I mean they got some good physical bodies up front. So I don't know. I think this is a matchup that Akron should be able to put up some points. They only got 7 last week against a really, really good Miami defense. Should be improved this week, but I don't know. It's hard to say. These MAC games are so hard to predict these days.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
But I think if the offense isn't putting some points on the board, week will be in trouble.
Where are some areas that you think the Zips might give Ball State some trouble?
I think I really like our secondary. We got Eli Reed and Malcolm DeWalt on the corners. Reed is a Kentucky transfer. Been here 2 years now. Came on really well at the end of last year. Malcolm DeWalt is, I believe, he's a JUCO guy. Both of them real big physical bodies. It's in the 6'2", I think 190 range. Pretty big for the position. And they've been really good against opposing receivers. Haven't been getting beat over the top very much. We got Justin Anderson's coming back from injury. He's a safety. He's been pretty good for us. Alex Branch is a Kent State transfer. He was one of their best players in defense the last few years. So I think and it goes into the matchup with Kyle Kelly. Like he's not got the arm of DeQuan. I think he's at this point a better runner. So that's where I'm a lot more concerned. So if we can keep him from beating us with his arm at all and just be able to focus on the run, then I think that would be big for Akron.
Okay, and you don't have to give us a full point score prediction, but do you see this being more of a low scoring game, a defensive battle, or something more high scoring, more like wide open in general?
Yeah, I'm not big on giving score predictions, but I do think I think we'll be in the area. I think the total is hovering around like 45.5 or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
I think it'll be pretty close to that. I can't envision Akron because we haven't this year. I mean, we put up 50 against Duquesne, but that's a whole different ball game. I can't imagine us getting into a scenario where, considering how our defense plays as well, where the offense is putting up 40, 50 points and the defense is giving up that many as well. Like certainly, Ball State has explosive capabilities with Kelly's ability to run, and then saying earlier, I watched the New Hampshire game. Like every time I looked at the screen, it looked like Quay Ashley was, by himself behind the defense. So I don't envision stuff like that happening very often in this game. So I'm thinking, somewhere in the 40 to 50 points total range.
Okay. So, Mr. Zipped Up, it's let's see. The game's over on Saturday. Akron has won. If that's the case, what are maybe 2 or 3 things that had to have happened for Akron to win this game on Saturday?
I think Ben Finley needs to play a clean game. I think he's 8 touchdowns and 4 picks this year, and 3 of those picks are in the red zone, actually like into the same exact end zone at InfoCision Stadium in Akron. He's got to play clean, throwing the ball. We can't be giving up possessions to anybody, whether it's Toledo or Miami or Ball State. I mean, that's the name of the game. PJ Fleck, whether you liked him or not, he always says the ball is the program, and I'm a firm believer in that. I think I mentioned it in every single one of my game previews. It's probably annoying to the readers at this point, but that's the truth. And then another one is success in the red zone, like I was saying earlier. Akron's defense, second best in the red zone percentage-wise as far as forcing stops, and then they forced 3 turnovers in the red zone. The offense, on the other hand, has thrown 3 red zone picks, and they're 120th in the country in red zone percentage. So I would say turnovers and red zone efficiency. And then you look back at the Ohio game with Ball State, and I mean, why did Ohio lose? The red zone, because they didn't punch in the red zone when they could and extend the lead to where they were capable of, considering their position, and you saw what happened to them.
Yeah, and so it's going to be should be a tight game this weekend. The point spread is indicating that as well. So let's flip the script now. The game ends on Saturday, and Ball State has won. What happened? What did Ball State do to Akron to get the win on Saturday? If from the Ball State side of things, what would they have taken advantage of that Akron doesn't do well? Do you think?
So, and I keep referencing Miami, but if you go back and watch a lot of that game, we had, whether it was Miami ball carrier, running backs. I think Jordan Brunson's the kid that was playing, or Daquan Finn. How many times we hit them at or behind the line of scrimmage, and they slipped out of tackles and got 5-6 yards. I think the biggest carry we gave up all day from a running back was like 11 yards. So, consider how many times Akron had them stopped at the line or in the backfield and let them go. If you do that with Kelly or Ashley, I mean, they're gonna kill you. So I think that would be, if the run game becomes explosive, if Akron gets behind and then they have to stop the run, I think that'd be a really scary situation for the Zips.
Mm-hmm. All right. So before we let you go, I had a couple other questions, not necessarily about this game this weekend, but some other stuff that's going on around the Akron football program and the Akron athletic department just in general. So obviously we all heard before the season about Akron's postseason ban for football this year, or it could be multiple years. I'm not really sure. Kind of maybe just walk us through a little bit about that and kind of, your thoughts overall on getting this postseason ban that they have.
Yeah, so I want to preface it by saying I don't know all the details and how all that APR stuff is really calculated, but my understanding is that of the 105 players on Akron's roster, I believe, was it 100 or 101 have never had anywhere close to an APR issue. The thing with the APR is it's a 5-year running average of the progress toward a degree, and what it's been explained to me is that when you lose a player in the transfer portal before they land at a new school, their academic progress is credited to their last school. So in our case, Moorhead took over what was, I think Kent State, UMass of the last couple of years, that quality of a program. A lot of really, I hate to speak bad about college athletes, but a lot of terrible football players that didn't belong at this level. A lot of them left and never landed anywhere, dropped out entirely. I think that had the biggest impact on this whole ordeal. And last year they were penalized as well. They got a reduction in practice time. And so in addition to this postseason ban this year, they still have the practice time reduction. So think about all the all the roster turnover, all the new faces that you've had to get acquainted with, and you have to do that without like an extra day of practice as well during the week. So that's just another like a double whammy. So it's kind of a crummy situation. But Moorhead, he's a very veteran coach. He's got a staff full of a lot of really good coaches: Sereno Ferree, Terry Richardson, Tim Tibesart. Like a lot of these guys have been around a really, really long time, really successful at a lot of schools. So they've been able to make the most out of what they have in the situation.
So with all that going on, we also saw something. Again, this is just from what I remember, and so these are probably not accurate, but I saw something like, because obviously Akron has a very good men's basketball program, and so I saw something like a number floating around, like $1 million NIL for the basketball team or something like that. How is the NIL working at Akron compared to other places? Because a lot of places, will prioritize football, but it almost seems like basketball is getting more focus at Akron. Is that the case? Are those numbers accurate? Kind of what's the state of NIL at Akron?
So I couldn't tell you exactly what the basketball number is. I can just tell you that it's higher than anyone in the MAC except for maybe UMass now, because they've got a whole different situation going on. But thing about Akron, going back to the 80s when they decided, so I don't know if you guys know this, but Akron was the first football program to make the jump from 1AA to 1A, FCS to FBS back in 1987, and they did it with zero infrastructure in place to make that move work. It's kind of like what's happening with UMass, right? Like they move up to the MAC back in 2012 as a football only member, and they still played in this dumpy stadium. They didn't have the X, Y, and Z. So Akron's always been a basketball school since the 60s, 70s, 80s, and onward. And a lot of the donors have felt that way as well. They've lost hope with a lot of really bad football hires over the years. You look at Rob Ianello, who went 2-22. Tom Arth went 3-20. Well, he went 3-24. Then the interim went 0-3. So yeah, people have just kind of lost hope, and I can't say I blame them either. And basketball's been fortunate to have one donor in particular really step up. Bud Wentz, he's kind of taken over as like the general manager, has a great relationship with the coaching staff, with the players, and he's found a formula to put together a great system to reload the men's basketball team every year. And we're very fortunate to have it, that's for sure. And I'm not saying football can't do something similar at some point, but yeah, they do not have the same relationship that men's basketball has with the Akron community. Not even close.
Now, Mr. Zipped Up, before I let you go, I'd be remiss if I didn't give Colin a chance here to talk about your crosstown rivals over there at Kent State. So, Colin, the floor is yours. The number one, I would say, Kent State hater in the world, Colin from Ball State Football Talk. Colin, go ahead.
Yeah, so I just want to ask, what has it been like to be rivals with Kent State recently? They're obviously no fans of me. I got love for Kent State. I just think they're terrible. But is it comforting to see them on the schedule? And do you think they've legitimately turned a corner after their beat down of UMass?
Well, it is always great to see them on the schedule. I tell you what, those games, football games, have kind of lost their luster over there, and now they're all in midweek anyway, so there's nobody there. But I tell you what, men's basketball is where the bread is buttered. Those environments, whether it's at the Jar at Akron or at the MACtion at Kent State, I mean, it's just, I want to beat them by a billion points, but man, if that environment isn't the coolest thing, and then sometimes you're lucky enough to play them up in Cleveland at what's it called now, Rocket Arena, that's pretty incredible too. As far as them turning the corner, just going to pump the brakes on that a little bit right now. I mean, I give them credit for what they've done. The interim head coach Mark Carney, he's working his way toward earning that job. Removing the interim tag, which you can. I'm not a big fan of hiring the interim, but that's another discussion. The quarterback they got's pretty nice. That DeShields kid, his brother actually played at Akron a few years ago. He had a lot of injury troubles. He wasn't as good either, but no, I don't know that they've turned the corner. had a good showing against Buffalo, who I think is pretty overrated at this point. And then UMass has no pulse, so we'll see what happens at Toledo this week. They put up a decent showing over there. I mean, I'd be pretty impressed. But no, and that's another thing I love about Moorhead is he values that rivalry a ton compared to Tom Arth before him. He didn't give a flying rat's rear end. He could care less. And Joe Moorhead is he I think he probably said it in his introductory press conference when he was an assistant at Akron 04 to 08. They only lost one time in the series during that period. And then when he was head coach at Mississippi State, I think he won the Egg Bowl both years, and he takes the rivalry very seriously. And I tell you what, say what you will about him as a coach, but I love that, and I love that he respects about Akron and Akron's fan base.
Well, perfect. I know whenever Akron and Kent State play each other, you'll have an extra fan in your guys' corner with Colin there. So
we love it. We love it.
So, Mr. Zipped Up, we appreciate your time tonight. At UA Zipped Up on Twitter. Are you on any other social medias? Anywhere else people can find you?
No, they're on Twitter, and I think the link to my Substack to subscribe. All the content is 100% free. There is a option to have a paid subscription just as like a donation or a tip, but yeah, everything is 100% free. We do game previews post 2 days before kickoff, and then the morning after football games post a recap. And then during basketball season, once MAC play rolls around, I do a weekly post on Sunday previewing what's coming up and recapping what happened the previous week.
Well, perfect. So if there's anyone out there who's interested in getting more information on different MAC schools, be sure to check out everything that Mr. Zipped Up here has to offer. So thank you so much again for joining us, and best of luck to Akron the rest of the year except for Saturday, and we'll talk again soon.
I appreciate it, guys. Thanks so much.
All right, thanks. Have a good one.
Thank you. All
righty. That was Mr. Zipped Up, or Akron Zipped Up there on Twitter. So if anyone can hear me, if you have any questions or comments, put them in the chats on Facebook, on YouTube, and on, Twitter. So now, joining us, as always, our Hall of Fame co-host, the one, the only, Mr. Willie Sneed. Willie, what's up, man?
What's up, fellas? How y'all been? How y'all doing?
Good to see you. Good to see you.
Sound like a good interview with the Akron Zip fella.
Great voice and great microphone he had.
Yeah, definitely clear.
He was set up good. So, all right, boys, you want to jump into some news from this week?
Let's do it.
Not a ton,
Yes,
a ton, but I dug up what I could. Here. So, let's see. The first thing we want to talk about here is from last week, and that is that Together pod or Together show. So last week's episode would have been about that Ohio game that you guys were at. This week's is going to be interesting. I'm curious to see what they talk about. Willie, what could you possibly put on this show that came out of the game last week? What do you expect to see this week?
I expect to see like them talk about the resilience of the ups and downs of college football. How they're going to get out of the rut that they're in right now. It doesn't feel like a rut; it just feels like a bad loss. But that's what I really expect them to talk about, is just how they intend to bounce back. Maybe what went wrong, possibly on last Saturday, and what they can look forward to going forward, and how they can learn from that kind of game. Because it's hard to look at the game and just pick things that you can get better from, but I expect them to go in depth, kind of like what the mindset is of coming off a game like that, going into homecoming. What's the mindset of the team? What's the attitude? Like that type of vibe.
Colin, you're a big fan of the show. Did you catch it last week? What'd you think?
Yeah, of course. I watch it multiple times after it drops, at least 2 or 3, maybe 4 each week. But last week's episode was incredible, and I saw myself actually standing in there when Keon Magwood makes that big catch. You'll see a guy like kind of stand up and then have their arms up with like orange shorts and a black t-shirt. I screenshotted the video multiple times and sent it to John and Willie so they saw me. But yeah, that was a great episode. The next one, like you pointed out, John, that's going to be a little bit more difficult. what I want to see from the Western Michigan episode. Shout out to Jude, by the way. He's the guy that makes them. He does tune in every now and then. I was thinking, like, obviously what Willie said, like, we got to talk about what's going to change, what's going to be different next week. It would be really cool if I got another kind of mini cameo sitting in the crowd, because I was jumping up and cheering, like, briefly. And then people started, like, yelling in my ear and whatnot. I wonder if they'll have the crowd from that game, because the crowd was super vicious. And then next week, what I want to see for the week after for homecoming, let's get Willie in together, man. The last episode when Willie was down there for the Hall of Fame, they had a little bit from him just like flipping the coin. He had the red sunglasses on. But I want to get an actual, like, maybe a video of Willie hyping the team up, or like Willie talking about like the season so far. Like, we have somebody that's notable going to be down there. So I say let's use him. That's what I got.
So you kind of ruined my surprise here, because I wanted to pull up the photo of Mr. Sneed in the episode right here.
Yo,
The red glasses. You got the hot jacket on, the coach's jacket.
yeah.
I said when this series was announced, I wanted to be the first person on the show. I wanted to be in together first. I went to the UConn game. I was in the front row. I did not make it. I believe, Willie Sneed, you are the first person to appear on the show. I know Colin says he showed up later, so you'll have to win some sort of award here. But Willie, you're looking pretty good there, man.
I appreciate it. It was hot. That was a bad decision to go with that get up.
Yeah, the hot jacket is that. Yeah, that's tough. That's a tough look if it's hot outside. Unless you're trying to sweat, then you're good. But
I definitely did that. And
yeah,
gray shorts was not the go-to, especially when you're sweating that bad.
Well, there you go. So we're interested to see that. Again, that show comes out tomorrow around 5:00. I think is usually when it comes out. So everyone, be sure to check it out. We'll be talking about it next week. So another thing that I wanted to talk about that Ball State has been bringing up here in the last day or so, they are currently doing their Cardinal Cause, the 21 days of Ball State. So this is like a kind of like a athletics fundraising type thing that they're doing. So you can go on the website here. You can donate to individual sports. You can donate to the Cardinal Excellence Fund, which kind of covers all sports. But yeah, if you want to donate to football, you can. If you want to donate to men's volleyball, like I was an alumni for, you can do that. So again, in this modern day and age of these arms races and trying to raise money places, the fans have to do some of that, pulling as well. So get out there if you can, $5, $10, whatever it is. Be sure to donate. I'm sure it'll help in the long run. Looks like they've donated or made around $5,000 so far. So I know they do some in the spring. They're doing this in the fall. Colin, do you ever donate to this? And if you do, are you planning on doing to this one?
Yeah, so I do. I actually got a little letter from Ball State, like, thank you for your donation 2 years in a row. And it's funny you asked that because it's sitting right here.
Oh, there
I didn't even know this was coming up. But yeah, I've donated 2 years in a row. Now this upcoming donation, I think I'm gonna just do, because I don't know if Ball State of the Union diehards will remember this, but we have our own merch. So Ball State
true.
Football Talk, that merch is available to go and purchase. When I first put the merch out, I was telling people, when you buy a hoodie, so like say the hoodie or the shirts are like $30-something, well, like $6, it's different for every piece of clothing. Say $6 goes to the slush fund that I've got. It's on, like, I don't know the exact what. We'll post a link, but I've already made like $29 that I was gonna put back into Ball State, because we were trying to do our own like little mini NIL sort of situation. So I've got that $29 and some change sitting around. I might just round it up, donate the $30, and that's what I've made from like the clothing and the sales from the gear and whatnot. So yeah, I do plan on donating. I don't know if it'll be this one. I might as well on this one. I just have the bread on me, so I probably will, John, honestly.
Willie, if you're going to make a donation, how many zeros can we expect to be in it?
Yeah, at least two. At least two.
There we go. Perfect.
Up from there.
So hey, everyone out there listening, if you got a couple bucks extra laying around, be sure to donate it to Ball State Athletics here. It helps go a long way. And yeah, I don't really know what to say. I'm not really paid or anything to say that. I just think it's a good way to help out in this modern day, of college sports. Every
Have you
little
donated? Have you donated, John?
I've done. I'm a Cardinal Varsity Club member, so I donate
Hey,
fairly often. So
nice.
and I'm gonna be, if I ever am back in town, I'm gonna be upping those donations so I can get that purple lot parking pass. So I'll say,
Yo,
if you listen to me, give me the parking pass. I need it. So okay, we had this. This was a big thing on the show last week, and we caught some heat for it. We talked about it a lot on the show, a lot on social media. Boys, I'm going to bring up the new Max Sports Connection rankings for this week. Our Ball State Cardinals still at number 9. Valid. I'm not even going to say anything else. Valid. Do you guys have any problem with Ball State staying at 9 this week?
not after last week.
Nope.
No. I mean, if we're gonna be number 9 and beat the reigning MAC champs, we might as well be 9 after we got our ass beat 42-0. So we can only go up from here, John. Hopefully, only up from here.
That's right. We all thought we should have moved up some last week. We probably should have moved down some this week. So I think it's a wash. Colin, anything that stands out to you about this, aside from what I think are fair rankings this week?
Yeah, actually, I got to give them their flowers because this is actually pretty decent. I know some people are going to be salty. We didn't move down after getting blown out 42-0, but the team we played is number 1. And just real quick, guys, this is a blessing because our upcoming schedule, the people who we play, number 10, number 11, number 12, and number 8. That's the next 4. So we really got a chance here to make the run. And I think they're placed, excellent where they are. But in the future, I see us being on that left side after we make a 4-game win streak. I think Buffalo might be a tad bit overrated. If you're Kent State, you got to be a salty, salty dude because you just blew number 13 out 14-6, but the problem is they're absolutely dreadful. Like, shout out to my guys, the Curse of You, but UMass is terrible. Worst team of the year for sure. So I think they got it right. I would keep Kent State 12. And there's sort of thing where, like, if these teams play 100 times, who's more likely to win? The only one that I'm really, like, not buying it for Ball State is, like, Eastern Michigan. Come on, like, they lost to an FCS school, but we're going to see that. We're going to see that, and I think we're going to go into that game hot. So actually give Max Sports Connection a little bit of kudos when it's deserved. I like this.
I like it too. And guys, my favorite thing about this, not that Ball State didn't drop, NIU keeps plummeting, and I love to see that.
Definitely.
Now we're going to get to NIU here shortly in the next week or so, but as an NIU hater, them leaving the conference, I would love to see them get to 13. I don't think they're going to, but I love where they're at. So again, we gave them a hard time last week. They rightfully could have given us a hard time back. They showed us some grace. So I'm good with staying at 9 here this week. So boys, I know Willie's going to the game. Colin, are you going? Have you decided if you're going this week or not?
I don't think I am. I think I'm staying at the crib. I've been at the last 2 games, last 2 weeks, so I'm going to take a week off here.
Well, for everyone that is going, obviously it's homecoming, and we'll get to homecoming a little bit here in a second. But if you're going to the game, the last home game against Ohio is blackout. This week's basically seems like a red out. Wear red this weekend against Akron. That's who we're playing. It's Akron. So wear red. If you got red clothes, which if you're a Ball State fan, you're going to have some red stuff, be sure to wear it. Willie, you got a red hoodie on this weekend or right now. Is that what you're going to be wearing this weekend? What's a Willie Snead red fit look like?
The emphasis on the red hoodie is definitely coming out this week. I don't know if it's going to be hotter or cold, John, but if it's anything like what it was against Ohio, I'm going to have to come in there with the red t-shirt. Like, I can't go in there with the long sleeves and the sweater jacket, the sweater, what'd you call it? The coach's cutoff?
The hot jacket, yeah.
The hot jacket. Yeah, I can't go in there again like that. That was a mistake, but definitely going to be wearing red, whether it's a hoodie or a t-shirt. Definitely rocking the red. Red out the stadium. Let's go red out the rips or zips. My bad, the zips. What is a zip? What is that? A kangaroo?
It's like a kangaroo, yeah. I think. I guess we should have asked Mr. Zipped Up that when he was on, but yeah, their mascot's like a kangaroo and stuff. So a kangaroo, I suppose. Okay, before we get to homecoming, I had two more quick things. So the first one, I was just talking about NIU a second ago, and something came out this weekend about that game against NIU in DeKalb, the last Bronstock game, maybe ever. We talked Jeff Mitchell back in the summer. He was saying, they're not on the schedule for the next 5-6 years, so it could be a while till we play them again.
Wow.
I think this is Ball State's biggest rival in football, personally. I think most people would agree. So I put this tweet out there earlier when I saw this. I don't know who's in charge of this. I don't know if it's the conference. I don't know if it's ESPN, since the game's on ESPN Plus. I don't know if it's Northern Illinois. Who's in charge of it? This should be a night game. This should be the last Bronstock game for us. Should be a night game. Now I know, Willie, me and you we've had, obviously you more so than me. We had some nightmare night games in DeKalb back in the day, back in that 2013 game.
Yeah.
But this is a big rivalry. Obviously, these, the Jackson Corville kick that took place, under the lights after, as an earlier game, but as the game ended. So getting that night game for this last thing, I think would have been great. Unfortunately, obviously, that's not the case. It'll end at night, obviously. But Colin, would this have been a night game in your book, or are you good with the 3:30 time?
Yeah. No, I mean, I have no idea why this isn't a night game, unless there are just some like logistical things that they couldn't overcome. Because honestly, I'm a little biased because I got to take my wife to the airport at 4:30. So I wish it was a night game so then I could take her to the airport and then go straight to, Northern Illinois, because Chicago is already close. It's already in that area. But so I'm a little, a little peeved about that. But what an opportunity to make an experience like the last Ball State NIU game of the MAC under the lights. This is to keep the trophy for a really long time. Let's make it an experience. Let's make it memorable, something people won't forget. And honestly, all you had to do was change the kickoff by 3.5 hours. And I tweeted something about this, and sometimes I put my feelers out there and I'm like, maybe I was way off, but on this one, the NIU people were coming and backing me up. So they're making rivals come together, and I just think it's clear, this should have been a 7 o'clock at the earliest kickoff, John.
Mm-hmm. So Willie, obviously, you have much more experience. Colin and I have zero, much more experience in playing in big rivalry type games. Is a game under the lights, does it really amp that up that much more? Obviously, the crowd gets a lot more excited. They have all day, they can be out partying, they can do all this. But from a player perspective, does it really ramp things up that much when it's a night game as opposed to a day game?
Yeah, it definitely does. Like just the night atmosphere being under the lights, like just Friday night lights, Saturday night lights, Sunday night, Monday night. It takes the momentum to a whole nother level, in my opinion. And I honestly would have loved to see this game later in the year, later on the schedule, and like on a Tuesday or Wednesday night game. That way the whole nation is watching. Because the last time we played NIU my year, it was like a Tuesday night game, only game on TV type of deal. You know what I'm saying? And we were both at the top of our game that year too, so it was a great matchup for a Tuesday night. But yeah, I would definitely love to see this be a night game. I played NIU multiple times, like at a 3:30 slot or it was a noon slot. So, I wouldn't say there's not as much meaning to it because of that, but I would definitely think the night side of the game being under the lights definitely intensifies the rivalry a little bit more and just gets the juices pumping, gets the excitement going. Something to look forward to later in the day, right? So I definitely would have loved to see it, but 3:30 is not a bad slot. It'll be 2:30 their time. So, hopefully it'll still be a good showing, good show out for those people up in DeKalb, Illinois.
Yeah. So again, we'll get back into Northern Illinois next week. That's when the game is, right? Is next week, right? So we'll get into them more next week. And I told Coach Jurmovich directly, that is the number one most important game on the schedule. We cannot lose this last one. So let's focus back in on Akron and homecoming here. So obviously homecoming's this weekend. All types of great traditions at Ball State for homecoming. You have obviously the bed races. You have air jam. You have the parade, which I don't remember them doing the parade when we were in school. I don't know if that's a newer thing. Maybe they've always done it, but they do a parade now throughout campus. If I was in town, I was going to get a truck in the parade, and we were going to do a live Ball State of the Union in the truck. So I might do that next year. We'll see. To be determined. But so Willie, you're going to the game, Colin. Obviously, you've been to homecomings before. I've been to homecomings before. I want to jump into what is the perfect for you guys homecoming weekend? So I kind of sprung this on you, so I'll start. I'll go first. I'll walk you through my weekend. So my first thing, I'm getting to town on Friday. I'm not going to the game. This is hypothetical. I would get into town on Friday. The first place I'm going to Puertas. I'm getting the Monster Marg. I'm getting the chips and salsa. I'm eating. That's what I'm doing first. So after I do that, maybe I have 2 Monster Marg. Who knows? Then I'm going to the Chug. I found love at the Chug. My wife is sitting in the other room right over here. We met at the Chug. We went down those steps, strangers, and we came out together here a decade later. So you can find love at the Chug, everyone out there.
Nice.
Don't worry about it. The only thing you got to worry about is if you go in the winter, those are some treacherous steps. So I'm going to Puertas, then I'm going to the Chug. I'll be at the Chug till ? I don't get down with Brothers and all the other bars I went to have closed. So I'm just going to be at the Chug for the night. Saturday, I'm waking up. I'm going to go check out this parade. If in this scenario, I'm going to go to this parade. I'm going to check it out. Colin's talking about Muncie Gras. I forget when Muncie Gras was. That's in the spring, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah. So Muncie. So I guess you can add. I won't. You can add whatever you want. You want to bring Muncie Gras back? You can. In my scenario, this can be a 3:30 game. So I'm going, and then I'm hitting the tailgate lot. I'm hitting TIS before I go over there. I'm going to go hit up TIS. I'm going to spend my face off. I'm going to see if I have any old TIS points still in the system. Go buy one, get one free shirts. And then I'm going to go into the game, and I'm going to watch the Cardinals get a W. That's what I'm going to do. And then afterwards, I'm going to go back to the Chug, and I'm going to go back to the Chug for the evening, and then I'm going to get out of town. So that's my perfect homecoming weekend. Willie, you're going to homecoming this weekend. You can either tell me what you're planning on doing or what you would like to do, what your perfect tailgating or homecoming weekend would be.
For me, I'm flying in Friday night because it's my birthday on Friday. So
happy early birthday.
Thank you. I appreciate that. And so I don't want to leave too early because, my kids don't have school, so they want to, do daddy breakfast and the whole 9 yards. So I don't get into like 9:30 at night. So I'll probably just get in my car, take that long drive to Muncie from Indy and get to the hotel room. And then the next day, I'm gonna have to text one of the execs from Ball State and ask for itinerary because the game's not till 3:30 in the afternoon. So I'll probably go get some Sunshine Cafe breakfast because I didn't get to see that the last time I was in town. And then, to be honest, I'll probably have to go buy my own bottle and bring it with me to the stadium, to the parking lot, to the tailgate area. And then I want to be able to get into the building and be around the guys, kind of just feel that presence, feel that game day presence again, and just feel the momentum up till game time, and then watch some great Ball State football, watch them get the dub, and then afterwards, if Jawan Edwards is with me, we'll probably go through the campus all the way to the village and find ourselves in places that we used to be and have some great times, like just try to relive the moment a little bit because it's not often I go back to Ball State and it's been a minute. So just trying to relive some of those memories after a great Ball State win and probably won't stay out too late because, wifey, she don't play that. And
Yeah.
I can only get in trouble in Muncie, especially after a win. Like, the guys, they'll probably come out to celebrate. And God forbid they catch me in my different state. It's gonna be a hell of a nightmare.
So with you going to the game, obviously you were there 2 weeks ago for the Hall of Fame. Are you going in an official Ball State capacity, or are you going as more of a fan alumni this weekend?
A little bit of both. I haven't been to a homecoming since my homecoming. For other reasons of being just in the NFL and not having the time, but just to show my face around, show the support that I have for Ball State, obviously, and just continuing to plant seeds up there in Muncie, for possible reunions on later dates. But definitely just love being around Ball State. And I think a couple weeks ago being up there just kind of like rekindled that fire a little bit and just, me wanting to go there because I could have went to plenty other places, but it felt good. It felt right to go back up there, especially with my birthday. Being able to travel back to Indy and kind of just feel those vibes again was cool. So That's probably like the number one reason is just go up there, be a fan, show my alumni support, and obviously plant seeds for future possibilities. So we'll see what happens.
If you and Jawan find yourself in a certain state of mind later on in the evening, I need you to FaceTime me. Give me a
Okay.
call. All right, Colin. What about you?
Yeah.
What is the perfect homecoming weekend look like for Ball State football talk?
Yeah, the perfect homecoming weekend. Like, if I couldn't draw it up any better, I would hit up the 1,000 New York boys. Right across from Stu East, there's this huge brick building, 1,000 New York. We knew like everybody that lived in the bottom, everybody that lived in the top. We'd have everybody coming back down. I'd hit up the liquor store. I think it's Mega Liquor and Smoke or something with the smiley face.
No,
I'd go
hold
there,
on. Friendly
sure
package. Friendly package.
Yeah, friendly package too.
Yeah.
I rock with friendly package too.
Yeah.
But they show me love really wherever I'm at. So I would go to wherever, get a bunch of White Claws, make sure I got stuff if I need to shotgun a couple, because I'm not big on shotgunning beers. I'd rather shotgun a White Claw. Now after I go and I pick up my White Claws, I'm then driving to Thai Smile. I'm getting a pickup, Thai Smile 2. I'm getting a pickup for a very spicy pad Thai. Now then we're gonna go back to the crib, wherever we got an Airbnb, whatever we're doing, drink a little bit, pregame, whatever. And then I know this is a family program, but Muncie just got a strip club. And
Oh
I would ask
God.
my wife, is it
No
okay
way.
if I go with the boys and we hit that? You know, my wife doesn't really like me going to the clubs like that, but if I could swing it, this would be the perfect homecoming. So then we go there, then we come back, obviously alone. I wake up in the morning, hit Taco Bell because that's my hangover food. Then I hit the bookstore, buy something because I just like to shop. Buy whatever, at the bookstore. Then we get a Ball State W. Then that night, I'd probably hit Brothers. I know you'd be at the Chug, but like Brothers would probably be more popping. So I'm gonna hit Brothers, even though it's too loud. I hate having to yell to talk over to people, but I'd probably text Willie like, "What you doing?" And then after that, Uber to the hotel Saturday because we don't drink and drive, and then
Right.
Sunday drive home with the boys. That's the perfect homecoming weekend.
There we go.
What is the strip club called in Muncie?
Well, there used to be
I'll
one.
let you know.
There used to be one called Joker's Wild, but I'm pretty sure that's closed.
Just the thought of Muncie having a strip club.
Yeah. So yeah, let us know, Colin. So anyone out there listening, if you have an ideal homecoming idea of what you would want to do, let us know what it is. I enjoy doing that. So, and if you have any other questions or comments, throw them in, and we will get to those here in just a few minutes. So, boys, I loved hearing that. But
that was dope.
Let's get back to the game. Let's do our 3 chirps. Willie, as always, we'll start with you. 3 chirps for this weekend against Akron.
All right. So my first chirp is something that we haven't been able to do the past couple of weeks, and that is have a fast start on offense. I want to be able to see the offense be able to take the first drive or even the second drive and put pressure on Akron with early points. Always thinking touchdowns, but if we can get points with field goals, let's do it. But I want to see us fast start our offense, put the pressure on Akron all game from the beginning of the game, and have the game dictated in our favor early. The second thing is defensively, I want to see them build on the takeaways they got last week. It was really good to see them get 2 takeaways by the DBs. So that was encouraging. That's something they can continue to build on, just being instinctive and reacting to the football when it's in the air. I thought that was really good. And my third thing is, obviously, I think it's going to connect to number 2, but it's to win the turnover battle. Teams that win the turnover battle are 70%, over 70% likely to win the game. So last week we got the turnover on the punt, which was awesome to see. We didn't capitalize on that. We have to be able to capitalize on those situations so that we can be able to continue to put pressure on Akron if they do decide to make a mistake or give us an extra possession where we can steal it. So those are my 3 chirps. Emphasis on the fast start on the offense and winning the turnover battle. Those are my keys to the victory. My 3 chirps right there.
All right, Colin. As always, your 3 chirps.
I love the fast start one, Willie. I'll leave that off mine. My very first one, I'm going to go 3 to 4 explosive plays. Something that gets us down the field real fast in red zone area or even we score off it, whatever. I just want to see some big plays because sitting at that Western Michigan game, that cannot happen again. We just didn't have any big plays whatsoever. Now, number 2, I'll go. This actually comes from Mr. Zipped Up himself. Pressure Ben Finley. Get after him in the red zone in particular. So he's got 8 touchdowns and 4 interceptions, but apparently 3 of those interceptions are in the red zone. So if you can pressure him, get in his face, make him a little anxious, give him happy feet, he might throw that up and give us a chance at it, and we got to be opportunistic on the back end. Finally, use the homecoming bump. There's going to be a lot more people there than I think normally would be at a Ball State game. And if we can use that homecoming bump to our advantage and have a great game, we can spin that into, building blocks and continued success and drive more people to the games.
Okay. My 3 chirps. My first one was get off to a fast start, but I pivoted a little bit here. I'll change it so it's not exactly the same as Willie's. I don't want to see a punt on the first drive. We've punted on every single first drive of the season so far. I don't want to see a punt. Now, that usually would mean I want to see some points, whether it be a field goal, whether it be a touchdown, but I just don't want to see a punt. And I'm going to keep coming back to this until we don't do it. So if we punt on the first drive this week, this will be my first trip next week as well. I'm going to keep coming back to this until we get off to a fast start.
Yep.
Number 2. So I don't need, I'll give everyone the background again. If you're a Ball State fan listening to this, you're already going to know this, but 2 weeks ago, huge win, one of the biggest wins we've had in a long time. Coming into Western Michigan, a lot of fans out there, myself included, were skeptical, thinking, we've seen this song and dance before. Is this actually a new regime? Well, last week came and we saw what happened there. Let's prove that we're not the same old Cardinals this week. We have a stretch of 4 very winnable games right here that you can, if you can win 3 or 4 of them, that's 5-6 wins right there. You're right in bowl contention. If we're a team on the rise and going in this direction, we saw these rankings earlier. Colin was talking about it. All these teams are kind of down with us at the bottom. Let's prove that we are above that. We're going to win these games. So let's prove that we're not the same old Cardinals. Let's come out this week and get this win. Let's refocus and win these games that we should win. And lastly, I didn't want to take too much credit for this after the Ohio game because, again, I was in the middle of the ocean, so I couldn't really let everyone know this. But I think my 3rd chirp might have, motivated everyone enough to win that game. So I'm gonna reuse that right here. Mr. Sneed's going to be in the house again, boys. Let's win this for Willie again. I think win it for Willie might have motivated them last time, guys. So win it for Willie times 2. That's what I'm going with here. So don't punt on the opening drive. Prove we're not the same old Cardinals, and win it for Willie again. So those are my 3 chirps here. Predictions for this week. Colin, we'll start with you. Ball State is plus 1.5. A little bit of a surprise there. I would have assumed they would have been the favorites, but they're plus 1.5 right now. And the over under is 43.5, basically. So where you stand on that?
Ooh. I really like that over under number. The favor in Akron, when Ball State has the homecoming bump and the Willie Sneed bump, they don't know Willie's on the sideline coaching them up. I'm going to go 23-17 Ball State win.
23-17 Ball State win. Okay, so that's the under. That's the under, right? Yeah, so the under is there. Ball State win.
Not close.
Close. Willie, I know you're not planning on flying all the way up there to see the loss, so what do you got for me?
We haven't really scored a lot of points. It would be hard for me to take the over. But I do see it going back and forth. So I like 23-17, but I'm going to go 20-17 Ball State favor.
Now,
So I'm going to take the under right there.
Now, I have to be honest with you guys last week. I internally felt peer pressured during the picks because you guys both took Ball State to beat Western Michigan. So I did as well. So hand up, I took them as well. But I didn't go with my gut. And I'm going to get peer pressured again here, although I think we are going to win this game. But if for some reason we don't win this game, I will not be picking Ball State going forward until they prove me wrong. So I'm going to take Ball State here. I'm going to take us 21-18. Did either of you say 21-18? No, okay, 21-18.
I said 20-17.
All right, 21-18, I'll take. So that's a sweep across the board. So again, any Ball State Cardinals out there on the team right now, coaches, anyone out there listening, We're putting it on you. We're putting our stamp on a sweep win here. We did it last week. That did not go well. If it doesn't go well again this week, I can't physically pick Northern Illinois. I won't be able to have that come out of my mouth. But after that, that's where I'm going to be standing. So that's where I'm going to be.
No, not Kent State either. You're not picking Kent State either. Not over us.
Yeah.
No,
So
I'm picking Ball State all the way through. Like, I don't even know. Are we allowed to pick? Are we allowed to pick the opposite team if we're the Ball State of the Union? Like, does
watch
that even
me.
make sense?
If we can't win these games, watch me. So, Colin, what you had something else there?
That was just it. I heard you say you were going to pick the next teams if we lose this one. I'm like, you can't pick NIU over us because we hate NIU. You
Correct.
can't pick Kent State because they're garbage. You can't pick who's after that. Well, I guess you could pick,
Toledo
Eastern
or
Michigan
Miami.
or something
Eastern
like
Michigan, yeah.
Yeah, so I mean, for the next couple, we're safe, but right now, you got to pick us 3 in a row here, I think, John.
Well, speaking of Kent
That's
State,
peer pressure.
Speaking of Kent State, some news came out this week that I wanted to let everyone know about Kent State. And that is, I'll be in the house for Kent State.
There you go.
I'll be there, boys. I'm going to be in the house, midweek MACtion, November 5th, Wednesday, November 5th. I will be there. So any fans out there who are watching the show, who are going to be at the Kent State game, let's meet up. Let's take a picture. Colin, I know you're going to be there as well. So obviously Colin and I will be there together. And
Yep.
Colin, we have one more thing about Kent State we need to get to here before we kind of finish the show up.
Yeah.
So Colin loves to talk smack about Kent State. He's been doing it for as long as I've known him. So a show, maybe a month or two back, someone in the chat had said, there should be some sort of punishment if for some reason Ball State is to lose to Kent State with the amount of trash that Colin talks. So we've talked about it some. Colin, have you reflected on any of these potential punishments? And should you get any sort of reward if Ball State wins?
Yeah, I mean, the reward is just going to be knowing that I've been correct ever since Kent State hired Kenny Burns. So that is, I don't need anything from Kent State because, listen, you know what? I have no bone to pick with the Kent State fans. I really, I appreciate Kent State fans because, like, you've been getting bashed in the face for years and years and years, and you're still here. And now the MAC has added someone worse than you. So I understand, like, they get a little bit of, they get a big head about themselves, and they're like, we're not the worst team in the MAC anymore. Like, we look hot now. And, I got people bookmarking my tweets where I'm talking about, I wasn't impressed by Kent State's win over UMass. They got people telling me that they got beat by Western Michigan by less than half of what we got beat, or like 21-3 or something like that. All that is fine and well. You got to show me. You got to prove it to me because honestly, Kent State's been so garbage that I'm not just going to take you beating UMass or like a FCS school and be like, oh, well, everything's back to normal. I will say if Kent State beats Akron or if they beat Ball State, very slim chances. But if they do, they need to hire Mark Carney full time. Okay, that needs to happen because they got him at interim, and he took a roster that I really felt was worse than last year, and he's got them moving in the right direction. So shout out to him because I literally said when they hired him, like, he's a dead man walking. Like, I wouldn't take that position. But in terms of if Kent State beats me, what should I have to do? Because, yeah, I admit, I talk badly about Kent State. It's like having a little brother that you love, but like you're watching him play football and like, or he's playing baseball and he's really just in the outfield picking the grass or whatever. And you're like, he's out there, but he's not really doing much. So if Kent State beats Ball State, I will be purchasing a blow up doll. We will go to a pub where they have alcohol, where they have food. I'm going to have her sit down in a booth with me. I'm going to order her a drink. I'm going to order myself a drink. We'll both have food. I'll take it in a box to go. But I'm going to sit there and enjoy my meal. I'm not just going to take the picture and leave. I'm going to sit down. I'm going to enjoy my meal. If anybody has questions, I'm just going to say Kent State beat Ball State. But that's the thing. I'm so confident it's not going to happen, John. And I want to give like Kent State agenda pusher a small shout out because he doesn't have like a lot of motion, but he's trying. And I want to give Kent State a little bit of shout out because how hard is it to come on this pod to talk about Ball State after we lose 42-0? Now imagine that happens to you every game last year. And he still made a Twitter account. So, like, God bless his soul. Bless everyone over there for Kent State. Like, I really, I appreciate you guys being fans, because a lesser human would have been like, oh, I'm an Ohio State fan. I'm a whatever, like there's people in South Bend that are Chiefs fans. How'd that happen? You know what I mean? So I don't like that sort of stuff, but shout out to the Kent State fans that went to Kent State, or even just decided, I don't know why in the world you would pick Kent State to be a fan, but shout out to them for sticking with the team, because guys, you're the bottom dwellers. You're going to be the bottom dwellers until you beat Akron, until you beat a Ball State, until you beat a Eastern Michigan, because we're above you looking down. And we've been looking down for like since 2019, before that, like, my God, they had the good year with what's his name that went to San Diego State. So I do want to give them a little credit, but as far as Kent State program, like, I'm so thankful I didn't go to Kent State, but I appreciate the people that did. Okay, and I wish you guys the best. If we lose, I will be at the diner, 2 beard up, me and my shorty, and I'll post a picture on Twitter and I'll tag whoever, So that's what'll happen if we lose. I don't see it happening. I'm not really worried about it. I told John I love Kent State because you can get some beers, you can relax, you don't got to watch too hard, you know what's coming. You feel like an Alabama fan a little bit. And I love feeling like an Alabama fan because I never get to feel like that. You know what I mean? So this is that game. And then next year when we play UMass, I'm on your head too, because you're the new Kent State, but it's fine. That's what I got, John.
So the official punishment is date with a blow-up doll.
That's what it sounds like.
Yeah, and I'll order both food.
All right, perfect. Well, there we go. So, all right, so we'll potentially look out for that. So, last chance if anyone wants to throw in any questions or comments. We're about to start reading those right now. So, first one comes from Brandon over on YouTube. Great show, guys. Willie, this is Brandon from the podcast you were on last night, Crossroads.
Yep, Crossroads
Sports podcast. I checked it out for a little bit. Seemed like good guys. We're planning on hopefully having them on the show at some point as well. So Brandon, thanks for tuning in. We enjoyed watching Willie on the show last night. So over on Facebook, Scott. So Willie, this is for you. So come on by the lot and say, hey, he's got some good boy vodka for you to try. He's in the white and black RV in the corner by the Cardinal lot in the white lot. So you got a tailgate invite this weekend if you want it.
I'm going to be pulling up white and black RV. Bring tequila. Okay.
There we go.
I can't do vodka. That's going to hurt. I won't be able to function if I'm off the vodka, man. I got to be professional until at least the game is over with.
There we go. Our friend Shay over on Twitter, as always, he wants to know why did they get rid of the concerts on Friday night for homecoming? He said they always were bangers at Emmons. And of course, I'm a sucker for a good old drinking country concert. So Shay is a friend of mine from back in the day. He always talks about some big country concert that he goes. I think it's actually called Country Concert in Ohio. But I do remember these, homecoming weekend concerts. I went to one when I was in school. It was Florida Georgia Line before they got big. It was Florida Georgia Line. There was going to be another one the next year. Scotty McCreery, who's another big country name. It ended up getting canceled, but I loved going to that. That was super fun. That's a good question, Shay. I don't know why. I don't know if it's just a lack of demand. Colin, did you ever go to any concerts at Ball State, whether it be at homecoming or just kind of in general throughout the year?
Yeah, the only real concerts that they had was they had Juicy J while I was there, which I should have went to, but I was busy. They had 2 Chainz, and then they had I forget the guy's name, Afro Man or something. It's like, but then I got high.
Yeah.
Who's that? Is that Afro Man? He came to Ball State too, and I considered that one, but I never went. I'm kind of a homebody, so I didn't go to any of them. But they kind of had like B-list tier, celebs come in and perform, and I always considered it, but like, I don't know, I'm not a big like live music type of person.
Yeah, one of my hot takes is I would much rather just listen to music on the radio than in person. I know a lot of people love live music, but Willie, are you much of a concert guy? Did you ever get to any concerts at Emmons when you're in school there, or no, you're always too busy?
We were always locked in on the game. It's like we can't even think about the festivities because like we were never going to be a part of it unless like it was after the game when the real festivities start. You know what I'm talking about. So. because we got to get that dub on homecoming, man. It doesn't even make sense. Like you saw what Western Michigan was on their homecoming. We got to be on that same juice, man. Got to, dog. Got to get a dub on homecoming. It just makes everything like the whole week worth it, right? Like when you lead up to Schumann Stadium being there, getting the dub, it's kind of like just the exclamation mark for the whole homecoming week. You know what I'm talking about?
Mm-hmm. Colin, did you have something else there?
Yeah, you were just talking about live music. I agree with your hot take, but like the only live music I really like is like concert orchestral music. Like you ever been just sitting down and like they got 100 people just jamming out on a cello? Like that really will move me. Like had me tearing up a little bit. Like the music's so powerful. Like I like that, and I saw John Batiste live at Notre Dame. He's the guy who made the soundtrack for that Pixar movie Soul. But like he was really good live too. But I just like in terms of rap music, when I'm listening to rap, like they're already gonna be playing the song on the backtrack and then kind of just like rapping with it along here and there. So no, I don't really like stuff like that personally.
Okay. Last two here. Jude over on Twitter, the producer director for That Together show. He's saying again, tune in tomorrow, episode 7. He hopes to catch you guys on Saturday. So Willie, maybe you'll sneak back into Together this weekend. If you do, give Ball State of the Union a shout out.
They might give me my moment. They snuck me in there last week. So
yeah. And then the last comment we have is Scott over on Facebook. He threw a prediction out there as well. He's saying 30-21. So Scott is taking the Cardinals. I assume he's taking the Cardinals, but yes. So that is all of our listener questions and comments. Again, if you ever have anything you want to get off your chest, questions, comments, put them in wherever, tag us in them, and we will get to them at some point. So let's go over the week, and then we'll get out of here. So the game, Saturday against Akron, 3:30. So after the game, Colin, are you hosting the Twitter Spaces or me? Who wants to do it this week?
Yes. I
Colin,
will host it this week. It will be recorded. It will be recorded. So after we do the Spaces, we'll have John in there. We'll have Willie in there. We should have Mac Sports Connections, Sidelines, all the most important Mac people. Hopefully we get Cursive U in there. But really, we'll get everybody we can to talk about the game. And then after that point, you'll have to be tuned in live because it is posted there. It'll be on my feed. You can watch it after. Because last week, we had an incredible Spaces, but we just didn't record it. So next week, we will have it, or this Saturday, it will be recorded.
And then, as always, our post-game show will be Sunday night at 8:30. So, again, just like Wednesday at 8:30, you come in. Sunday night, 8:30. Get your day of NFL watching in. Come over. Join us. We'll go over everything that happens in the game. And then, actually, I have a bonus thing for everyone out there listening. Obviously, we're Ball State of the Union. We're the #1 Ball State football podcast. But very soon, starting next week, we're going to have a men's basketball show as well. So, next week, I'm going to be interviewing none other than Ball State legend from the men's basketball side, Troy Moses. He's going to be my co-host for the basketball show throughout the year. So we're going to do an interview with Trey. I think it's going to come out maybe on Monday next week. It's not going to be live, unfortunately. He's, I believe, in Switzerland or somewhere in Europe playing basketball still. So we have a big time difference. So I don't know if we can be it live, but there's going to be a basketball show starting next week. Next week's going to be mainly an interview with him just to kind of let people know there who aren't familiar with him, here's some of his background. And then as the next couple of weeks leading up to the season is going to start, we're going to start tackling this upcoming basketball season. So if you're a Ball State football fan and you're a Ball State men's basketball fan, make sure you're locked in with us here at Ball State of the Union. So unless you guys have anything else, that's going to do it for this edition of Ball State of the Union. Big game in Muncie this weekend, homecoming. Get out there, support the Cardinals. If you see Willie Snead there, tell him you love the show. Take a picture with him. And if you enjoyed this show or you're looking forward to the basketball show, whatever it might be sure to like, comment, and subscribe on YouTube, on Facebook, on Twitter, on Instagram, wherever you're following us at. Be sure to do all those things so you never miss anything and you're locked in with us at all times. Thanks for tuning in. And as always, until Sunday night or Saturday after the show, after the game, chirp, chirp, and go Cardinals.